Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. I am going to turn it right over to Rosa Maria and let her go ahead and go through everything because I know all of your time is very precious, as is hers. So I have so many screens right now. Rosa Maria, are you still here? Oh, we might have lost her. Well, while we are waiting, I will just say thank you, everybody, for joining. There she is. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is going to be some really good information for you. I will be recording it if you need to, go back and watch it, or for those that maybe couldn't make it live. Rosa Maria, do you prefer questions at the end or as we go?
Um, I think either works. So if there's a burning question that you have along the way, feel free to ask it. Maybe Jessica, you can help me with monitoring that.
Yep.
That way I can get to everybody's question. So I think I'm sharing my screen. Tell me what you see on your screen right now.
Right now it is pulling up and it is the Lane Community College Office of Admissions slide.
Okay.
So what we'll do, you guys, if like Rosa Maria said, if you have a burning question that you want to ask, feel free. You can also type your questions into the chat so you don't forget and you can ask later, or I can read it off for you. Rosa Maria won't be able to see you guys, so if you have a burning question, feel free to unmute, and we will turn it over to you.
Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. And congratulations on graduating. I know that's been a tough almost 2 years for you guys as you reach this point. So I want to congratulate you for your accomplishments and for staying with us in these challenging times. So thank you again for joining us. So as Jessica said, my name is Rosa Maria. I work in the admissions office at Lane. And you can think of me as the recruiter for high school students. So as you have questions, beyond this presentation, I will be your person of contact at the college in terms of getting you through all of the admissions process and making sure that you get everything completed. I know that this meeting, and originally we were thinking about, students who haven't applied, but I understand that most of you have already applied and have been accepted to Lane, and maybe you need more clearance on terms of what to do next. So I'll be going over that process as well, especially things like course placements and orientation. I'll also talk about the application for those of you who are joining us today and haven't quite applied. So just a couple things before that, when you, community colleges, as you probably have heard already, we are known for accepting 100% of the students that apply to our institution. So any student that applies for general admissions gets automatically accepted. We do have competitive programs, especially in our medical programs, where students do have to apply to those programs separately, but in general, students spend about a year to work on some of those prerequisites to be able to apply to those programs. But to get admitted to the college, it is 100% admissions. And as you work through our application, one of the things that you'll see is you'll be asked to declare a major. So we have students who are planning to do any of our career technical programs. So this could be any of our certificates, any of our 2-year associate of applied degrees that are really tailored to provide the skills and training that you need to get into the workforce. Those programs are not intended to transfer to a university, with the exception of our nursing program. That's the only one that has a pathway to a transfer degree. And we also have students who are planning to be enrolled at the college maybe a year, maybe 2 years, with the purpose of transferring to university. So what you're going to be doing at Lane is you're going to be doing your general educational requirements to be able to transfer to university. given that, you guys are local students, whether that be Thurston High School or Springfield High School, you may have College Now credits that you've already completed while you were at your high schools. And so that really helps in determining whether, some of those classes can be applied towards that transfer degree requirements or maybe any of our certificates or degrees. So if you have earned college credit as part of College Now, that is in record. We will have that. And we, as you work with our advisors, they'll be able to identify which of those classes can be counted towards your degree. The other thing too, I strongly encourage students, if you haven't done this already, is to take a look at our list of programs. We have a lot of programs that we offer at Lane. And normally, you would have conversations with us by visiting your high schools or, or college fairs. And so if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at our list of programs, definitely do so in order to help with maybe having an understanding of what Lane offers, especially if there's like a specific program that you're interested, you want to make sure that Lane offers it, or at least can get you on a path towards a transfer degree. Some of you may be thinking about dual enrollment, especially if you have applied to either University of Oregon or Oregon State University. This is something that we work with both of these universities to help students as part of a dual enrollment partnership. What this means is that you do have to be admitted to one of the universities or both. And at the same time, you want to make sure that you complete our admissions requirements for the college, in this case, Lane. And there is a separate form that's a dual enrollment form that is managed by the university that you have to download from their website and submit it to their admissions office. And so if you are thinking about this, if you would like to take advantage of Oregon Promise, this is something that can be done as part of dual enrollment, as long as you are enrolled minimum of 6 credits at the community college, in this case Lane. Although as part of dual enrollment, the majority of classes you are enrolled at Lane, and probably one class enrolled at one of the universities. You can kind of see a list of other benefits as part of dual enrollment. This is not something that all students do, but there are students that feel like this is something that they would like to participate in. Also, something to keep thinking about and getting you ready is when you graduate from your high school, whether that be Thurston High School or Springfield High School, folks like Jessica and Rolina, they will no longer be available or accessible to you. And so I strongly encourage students to get to know, connect with our folks here at the college, especially our academic advisors. So they're really going to fill in that role of your high school counselor and folks like Jessica and Rolina as it relates to course planning and making sure that you're enrolling in the correct classes for your major. We also have our Center for Accessible Resources. So any public college or university has an accessibility department. So if any of you may need accommodations in place for school, for college, you want to make sure you get connected with our Center for Accessible Resources to make sure that those accommodations are put in place by the time you start school, whether that be fall or later in next year. But I suspect the majority of you will start fall. We also have the Counseling, Career Exploration, and Mental Health and Wellness Services or centers. All 3 of these centers work hand in hand as it relates to questions around, I know I'm going to go to college, but I'm not really sure what I'm going to be majoring in, and maybe you need some assistance in terms of identifying the appropriate major. So some of you may have an idea of what you want to do as a career, but you're not really sure what specific major leads to that. So definitely reach out to our Career Exploration Center folks to help with that guidance. And then counseling and mental health, this is a very important service, especially because many of our students, and most of it has to do with the last 2 years, are experiencing mental health and personal counseling. So we definitely want to encourage you to visit these services if you feel like you may need that support. And then lastly, tutoring. So if you are going to be taking any math, writing, or science, we do have tutoring centers in place. That's free to you as a service to being a student of Lane. I can't emphasize how important it is to access those support services, especially if you're like me when I was in college, where I struggled with some of these subject areas and I knew I needed to take them because all majors require some level of writing, some level of math, and perhaps science. So definitely make sure you reach out to them. And then other things I want to talk about is the cost of attendance. So this is the cost of attendance for this current school year. This will change by the time you enroll at Lane. So, next school year. So definitely reach out to me if you want to see the new cost of attendance when we post that. We will be posting it around like late May, early June. So you'll see some new updates on that. And hopefully all of you are already working on your some of these applications that you see listed here, including the FAFSA application, free application for federal student aid. For you guys as seniors, you want to make sure you fill out the 2021-2022 FAFSA using 2019 tax information. This application has been posted since October 1st. So if you have not filled it out, there is still time to fill it out. You can go to studentaid.gov to apply. And when you fill it out, you're basically being considered for state and federal grants, which is free money that you don't pay back, as well as loans and work study. Loans is money you do pay back if you accept loans, and then work study is just an added kind of bonus for you to work on campus. So again, if you have not submitted a FAFSA, make sure to do that in order to be considered for federal student aid. There is an alternative to the FAFSA for those students who may be undocumented or DACA recipients, and that is called an ORSA. So you can go to the OSAC webpage and fill out the ORSA from there, or you can just do a Google search and type in ORSA. I think it's spelled ORSAA. And both Jessica and Rolina can help with this. They're very, very knowledgeable about submitting a FAFSA or an ORSA, so make sure you reach out to them if you still need to submit either of these two forms. If you missed the deadline for a scholarship application, make sure to think about applying next year. But if you did submit it and before the March deadline, you will be hearing back from our foundation office, I believe in the late May, early June, in terms of whether you received any scholarships through our foundation. Make sure to check your Lane email address, as the communication will come there. There will be some action required on your part to make sure that you accept the scholarship if you were offered a scholarship. So make sure you get in the habit of checking your Lane email address if you've applied and claimed that Lane email. And Oregon Promise, again, there's still time to submit Oregon Promise. I'm sure you've heard a lot about Oregon Promise. This is an opportunity for students to help pay for tuition only at any of the Oregon community colleges, including Lane. It's available to high school graduates graduating this 2021 and or students that are completing GED this year. In order to qualify, you must have a 2.5 GPA or higher or pass all GED tests. You also must have a FAFSA or an ORSA submitted in order to be considered for Oregon Promise, and must be attending any of the 17 Oregon community colleges within 6 months of graduation, which typically falls on fall term, which is late September. The application will be available till June 1st. So again, if you have not submitted it, make sure you do so because it is important that you get that in. And that Oregon Promise application shouldn't take you that long. I think I've seen people complete it in like under 10 minutes. So it's a very quick and easy application. As far as admissions requirements, and I'm going to go to our website later in this presentation to kind of show you visually where you find the admissions process. But for any student coming into the college, we call these steps to enroll. So as a new student to Lane, you will need to complete, required to complete all of these steps in order to eventually register to Lane. So starting with an application. So if you have an L number right now, because you took College Now courses, we still need you to apply for regular admissions to the college. Your L number will remain the same. That should not change. But what does happen is that we change your student status from a College Now student to a regular student at Lane. So make sure that if that's not something that you have done, make sure you do that as a start. After your application gets processed, which usually takes us 1 to 3 business days, then you can move on and do course placement. So course placement is going to vary depending on the student. There might be some of you who earn College Now credit in Writing 115, maybe Writing 121, maybe Writing 122 if either of your schools offer it. So if that is the case, that will show up on your Lane transcript, and we will automatically waive the writing course placement if we see that you completed the course with a C+ or higher. If you're currently in one of those courses right now, then I assume your grade is pending. So don't take any placement tests until that grade gets submitted, and then it will be reflected in the course placement will be waived. The same would be for math. If you completed any College Now math and received the credit and passed it with the C+ or higher, again, you will see that reflected where we will waive the course placement automatically if we see you have some College Now credit. If you didn't take College Now credit in either math or writing, other ways to get course placement waived is by submitting a placement survey where you can self-report either APIB scores, Smarter Balance scores, ACT, SAT, GED scores, or high school GPA in writing and math. I think for all of you, you probably don't have any APIB, Smarter Balance, or SAT or SAT, probably because some of these you took your junior year, and I don't believe you had the chance to take any of these in your senior year. So if you don't have any of those, you can certainly use your high school GPA in writing and math. So whoever is the person at your high school to request a copy of your transcript, make sure you do that. You're not going to be submitting the transcript to us, but what you are going to be doing is filling out the placement survey where you are actually going to self-report your high school GPA in language arts and or math. So whatever you put as your GPA there, that's what we're going to take in to place you in a specific writing and math course. And once that gets completed and processed, then you move on to orientation. And orientation right now, they're all online. So our orientation should take you about under 30 minutes to complete it. And then you'll be cleared to register when registration opens. All of those steps, you can complete them already as a high school junior if you just go one step at a time. So here are some dates and deadlines to consider as you're working on some of these applications and stuff. Some of these have already passed, so you can just move on and focus on the application process. But like I said, the FAFSA or the ORSA, that's still something you can submit, as well as the ORSA promise. The only thing listed here that you won't be able to submit because the deadline has passed is the scholarship application. But again, this is just to kind of help you stay on track and making sure that you complete all of these things. So we're reaching, May pretty soon. So in May, unless you want to do this earlier, then that's when I would recommend doing the course placement orientation. And also in May, late May or early June, you are going to be receiving information about your financial aid offer. So make sure that you are checking your Lane email address, because our financial aid office will be sending you specific communication there as it relates to your financial aid. So here's my contact information. So you can, if you're trying to get a hold of me, if you want to know where you're at in terms of which steps you've already completed or which ones you have missing, you can always reach out to me in my direct email, which is this one right here. You can also call our office. This is our main line here. Either myself or my colleague will answer the phone. Or you can also email us our main kind of general admissions email address. So either way, it works. If you have some questions about kind of your status and kind of where you're at, or any kind of other questions that may come up that you're not really sure about. Any questions?
I think we did have a student raise their hand, but now I can't find them.
Okay.
So if you were a student and can unmute, you can ask that question you had.
I have multiple questions, actually. So when does fall registration for fall classes, when is that open?
Did I not, were those dates not included in there?
No, they weren't.
So I don't think they were. Yeah. So let me give these dates to you guys. So fall term, the class schedule will be posted on Monday, May 17th. So that is when we will post the class schedule. Registration for new students who have completed all of the steps that I just described, registration will open on Monday, May 31st. And fall term begins Monday, September 27th.
Okay, so Monday, May
31st.
31st, got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
My second question is, when it comes to the arts and communication, what foreign language classes do you offer at Lane?
So we have, for foreign language, we currently offer Spanish, French as the two main ones. I believe that we might be in the process of offering German, but I don't think that is available yet. But for sure, Spanish and French.
Okay, because when I looked on the website, it said Spanish, French, American Sign Language, and Indigenous languages.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about those two. Yeah, so American Sign Language as well. And then we do have Native American language as well. We have two sections of those, and those can be counted for your foreign language requirements as well, either of those.
I've also heard like rumors of they're offering a Japanese class at Lane. Is that true or no?
We do have Chinese and Japanese, but they're non-credit. They're like community classes. So you wouldn't be able to count those as part of like your requirements for your degree. Those are community classes that are very basic classes.
Oh, I mean, I'm asking this because I'm planning on majoring in foreign language.
Okay, yeah. No,
So I can't major in Chinese or Japanese?
You can select a transfer degree in either of those, but you wouldn't be taking any specific language courses in Chinese or Japanese. You would probably be doing that at the university level. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks.
Any other questions? All right. Hopefully you can see the website here. Let me know if you can't. So from our website here, if you're just starting the admissions process, there's a couple places you can go. You can go to here where it says apply and enroll, apply now, or you can scroll down and click where it says admissions here, or you can keep scrolling down or go here where it says admissions, or again here, apply today. So there's different ways from the homepage you can that directs you to this getting started page. The first question we're going to ask you is, what is your goal at Lane? All of you will be selecting either earn a degree or certificate or prepare to transfer to a four-year institution. This is the one you want to select. All of you are considered new students to Lane, even though you may have a L number because you took College Now courses, you're still considered a new student to Lane. Again, your L number is not going to change. If you've earned college credit, that will still remain as part of your record, but we will change your student status from College Now to regular student. So again, new student, get started. When you select that, you're going to see the list of steps that I just described earlier. So starting with application, course placement, orientation, and of course, registration. So as long as you're going to, from one step to the other, you should be able to get to the end and register for classes. Again, fall term is open, so all of you should be able to complete these steps already if you want to get a head start. I'm going to go to the course placement here, one, because I think this is the piece where a lot of students get confused, especially if they are filling out the placement survey. So when you get to this page, one of the first things we ask you is, to gather your information, like you're going to, have to choose one of these unless you have already completed College Now in either writing or math or currently in process. But if you're going to be self-reporting any scores or high school GPA, gather that information because, again, you're going to be self-reporting that. You're not going to attach any documents. You're just going to self-report it. So once you're ready, you have the information you need, you're going to start the placement survey, and we'll take you to a new page. And then you'll also answer another series of questions. So on all of these, you're going to select yes, no, or don't know. You just want to answer every single one of them. And then afterwards, you'll start the placement. Once you start the placement, that's when we actually get to the piece around self-reporting information. So if you have that ready to go, you'll be able to self-report that information, and then those results get sent to our testing office, which they will then email you letting you know this is the math that you were placed in based on what you reported, and this is the writing that you were placed in based also on what you reported. If you don't want to go through the placement survey and you're not going to be submitting any of these, you can take the placement test. That is an option. It's available virtually. So this is where you go for the math. The math one, there's no cost to that. So you can do that for free. But the writing one, which is virtual proctoring here, there is a cost to that one, and you do have to sign up for it. Again, many of our students, especially those in your case, where you are, graduating from high school this year, and are in most cases using any of the options here by filling out our placement survey. The other thing I like to show students is if you go to this apply and enroll button here, if you go to degrees and certificates, you can actually see all of our degrees and certificates that we offer. And if you're a visual person like me, you can click on any of these. And one of the things that you're going to be seeing is the list of courses required to complete this degree. So this is diesel technology. So you can see what the writing requirement is for that program, what the math requirement is, what other kind of additional requirements, and then of course the program core courses. I strongly encourage students to bookmark whichever one you're pursuing, so that way you can easily go back to this, and as you get to the point of registration, you can easily see here, oh, I have to take these classes, or I have a choice of one of these. It really does help to kind of stay on track, and these get updated all the time, so you don't have to worry about if you have the wrong one. As long as you have the link, if there's any updates that need to be made, we make them on our end. For those of you who are planning to do a transfer degree, those are the ones at the top. Most cases, students are doing the AOT transfer degree. And with this one, again, there's some information about the transfer degree, what the guidelines are, and also kind of the writing requirements for that, the math, and kind of other requirements that you would need to take in order to complete this degree. So, for example, here it says arts and letters, complete 3 courses from 2 or more disciplines from the arts and letters. When you click on this one, on this link, you can actually see a list of courses, approved courses that will fulfill that requirement. So you have kind of ownership in terms of which ones you actually want to take. Like, we're not going to tell you which ones. We can recommend specific ones, but you have kind of the freedom to choose from any of these that are more interesting to you, as long as they're from this approved list here. So, and then lastly, I know I talked a little bit about financial aid. So again, on this apply and enroll here under financial aid also has a step-by-step process. We like to use this step-by-step to kind of help you stay on track. This is another page that I would recommend that you bookmark, and the reason being because the first step is really just submitting the FAFSA. There's additional things that you may need to do, especially if any of you are selected for verification or our financial aid office needs additional information from you. You want to make sure that you submit all that documentation in a timely manner. And because we're all working from home, a lot of this stuff is submitted via this digital Dropbox. So if our financial aid office does request the documentation, make sure you go back to this page to do that. But they have a step-by-step process. Basically, as you're moving into, eventually, accepting the offer. So again, make sure to visit this page consistently so that you actually get your offer ready to go and stuff. Other than that, I don't think I have any other questions or other things that I wanted to add. Do you guys have any other questions?
Do you think you could go back to the slide with the contact information really quick so I could copy it down, please?
Yeah, I can also put it in the chat here. You're talking about my contact information?
Yeah, and also just like that slide with the general information on it too. And okay. Yours, yes.
Let me see. I think I might have Let me find the PowerPoint here. Any other questions as I pull this up?
Yeah, while you're looking at that, I might just kind of do a plug for the College and Career Center real quick. So if you guys haven't completed your FAFSA or your Oregon Promise, we at Thurston, we typically do weekly sessions for those, offering support with that. But you can always email myself or Relina over at Springfield if you're at Springfield, and we can set up a time to meet with either ourselves or at Thurston we have interns that do that. So you know, you don't have to feel lost. We're here to support you on that. Also, for transcript requests at Thurston, in the Google Classroom, there is a transcript request form. So you can go ahead and complete that because you will need that, as Rosa Maria said. One other thing that I just want to kind of, I guess, reiterate, Rosa Maria had mentioned, you know, Relina and I are going to go away. Your counselors are going to go away once you graduate. You know, of course, I have former students that reach out, but we're not as easily accessible as we are when you can just, you know, hop on a Google Meet or come into the College and Career Center. So it is really important that you start, you know, advocating for yourself, working with financial aid, working with Rosa Maria, working with the advisors. But one thing that I want to also just say is that once you're in college, your university doesn't work with your parents. So it is really, you are the adult, you are making these decisions. They're not allowed to share information. You know, financial aid, there may be a waiver at some schools, but this is really something that this is your opportunity to kind of step up and you know, become an adult. And so that could be a little scary, but while you're still in high school, this is a really good opportunity for you to start advocating for yourself and working with advisors and things like that. So I just want to kind of reiterate that message to you guys.
Yeah, and I think it's also important. Hopefully, did you guys get that information? Whoever asked, were you able to see the slide with my contact information?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, perfect. One thing, you know, again, to emphasize on that piece is like, we don't want you to be afraid of us, okay? We want you to feel, we want you to ask questions. We totally understand if there are things that may be unclear to you, this is new to you. We live and breathe these things because this is our work. And so there is no dumb question. If there is something that's unclear to you, you gotta let us know, because if it is unclear to you, you don't wanna move forward or sign something that you're not really sure about, because it can impactful in, you know, as an adult. And so if there's things, especially around financial aid, that, you know, that you need some clarity, definitely reach out to us. And if you wanna give your parents permission, there is a way to do that. Obviously, we prefer to speak with you because you are the student and we want to give you that ownership. But if your parents are interested in being part of that conversation, you can certainly give them the opportunity to have that release where we can share some information, not all, but some information. So that is available at any college or university. And one last thing that I wanted to share with you guys, and I think you might have heard this opportunity from Relina and Jessica, is we have a program called it's a tuition-free course that we are offering for all students graduating this 2021 or graduating 2022. So you have an opportunity to take a free course, tuition only. So your parents or you will pay for the fees, which is not that much, but we will cover the tuition. So there's a course that you want to take in the spring, you want to get a head start, or maybe you would rather take spring off and maybe start in the summer. You have an opportunity to take a free tuition-free only course at Lane. I think I heard a couple of you that, you know, you're pretty much done and the spring term is just going to be, you may be working or maybe just kind of taking some time off. So if you would like to get a head start, this is an opportunity for you to take advantage of. There are specific steps that you need to take, which are really the exact same steps that you would need to complete as a regular student applying for admission. So these are the steps here. The only kind of additional thing that you would need to do is this tuition request form. And this form here, it gets sent to our finance office, which basically means that, for them to waive the tuition expense for that class, you're either registering in the spring or summer. So if you're interested, definitely, take advantage of this opportunity. I will post the link to it on the chat, but Jessica and Romina also have this information as well if you need more information. Any other questions?
Can you quickly go back to the slide with your contact info real quick?
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Hold on.
Yeah, and sorry, my name isn't actually showing up for some reason. It used my personal email instead of my school email when I connected here.
Okay. Let me get back. Let me find that slideshow again.
And you said registration opens on May 31st, right? Or is it due then?
So again, just to kind of follow up on those dates, for fall term, we will be posting the class schedule on Monday, May 17th. And registration for new students who have completed all of the steps, registration will begin on Monday, May 31st. That doesn't mean that that's the only day you'll be able to register. That's the day that it starts for new students, okay?
Okay,
and then fall term begins Monday, September 27th.
Okay.
Good question, guys.
I think Angie raised her hand and might have a question.
Yeah, any other questions?
Angie, did you have a question? Did you want to unmute? Maybe it was an accident. Okay, it looks like Madison has a question.
I had a question about dual enrollment with the AIOT. I think that's what it was. I have already applied for Lane and everything, got set up with my schedule, and I was planning on doing the 2-year thing at Lane, but for the major that I wanted to do, it had to be transferred to OSU. And I was wondering if they did dual enrollment for that program, or if you have to transfer in order to get that.
Can I ask what program it is?
Fine arts.
Fine arts. Okay. So dual enrollment. So there's two things. So there's an official dual enrollment where you're enrolled in both at two institutions at the same time. So that means Oregon State and Lane, as an example. And then there's also students who are planning to do a transfer degree. And so those students who are planning to do a transfer degree, but starting at Lane, you basically are working on all the transfer degree requirements that you would normally do at a university, but you're choosing to do them at Lane, so that when you are ready to transfer, all you're doing is your core courses for your major. So at Lane, what you would accomplish is all your math, or your writing, and any kind of other gen ed that you, again, would have to take at the university, but you're choosing them to take at Lane. The dual enrollment, actual official program, the partnership is, again, you're enrolled at both institutions, but you're primarily taking classes at Lane, but you're also on the side taking maybe a class at the university, and maybe that class you're taking there is like a class in fine arts, like a specific class that's for your major that's not offered at Lane. Does that make sense? Is that a little bit more clear?
Thank you.
Okay. Good questions. Anything else?
So for dual enrollment, I'm doing that at U of O and LCC. So do I still have to fill out that form, because I'm trying to do the option where I'm just getting my prereqs done at LCC and then transferring to a different school?
But you're not going to, so this coming fall, you're not going to be enrolled at both U of O and Lane, right? You're just going to be enrolled at Lane.
I think I'm actually going to take a couple classes at U of O.
Okay. Yeah. So if you are going to be enrolled at both schools starting this fall and into the next school year, yes, you want to make sure that you work with the admissions office at U of O for them to provide that dual enrollment form. It's a one-page form, and it's very easy to fill out. The biggest thing about the dual enrollment partnership is the question you need to ask yourself is, will you be splitting your financial aid between both schools? And if you are, you also need to work with both financial aid offices because they need to be able to correctly split your financial aid between U of O and, in this case, Lane. The other thing, too, is if you are taking advantage of Oregon Promise, you have to make sure that you at least enrolled minimum of 6 credits at Lane to also take advantage of Oregon Promise.
Okay.
And you don't have to split your financial aid. Some students don't, but I know a good significant of them do.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
These are really good questions.
They are good questions. Wow, you guys are like really testing me this morning. I'm glad I had a good, strong coffee.
So for clarification, if we're like a transfer student, we're just getting our prereqs done at Lane and then doing okay. So let's say I wanted like a 4-year degree in something in U of O. Would I technically be doing 6 years because I'd be doing 2 years at Lane and then going into 4 years at the university?
So I'm going to share 2 examples, okay? Because I think these will be relevant. So we have students who are majoring in architecture, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At U of O, architecture is a 5-year program. It's a 5-year program once you're admitted into the program, okay? So that means that program will take you, that bachelor's will take you 7 years to complete if you were to start at Lane. Okay, because it's a 5-year program from the point of admission. And that is assumed that you get admitted the first time you actually apply to the architecture program because they're very competitive. So that's one example. If you were maybe majoring in something like biology, maybe psychology, maybe business, it should only take you 4 years. That includes the 2 years that you would spend at Lane, plus 2 additional years that you would spend at the university. Because by the time you're ready to transfer, you would have completed about 90 credits of general educational requirements that U of O would be able to take as part of your gen eds that you would normally be completing with them, that you're completing them at Lane. So it depends on the major, but I know architecture is very special where it is a 5-year program. And, if you don't enroll at the university from the beginning, you're basically adding additional years for that bachelor's, but that's not the case with the majority of the program.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just thought of one. Is there a way that we can like check to see where we like are in the enrollment process? Because I believe I did the first 2 steps, the applying and the course placement, and I got my L number and all that, but I just wanted to like to make sure that it was all like there, and I'm not sure where you would go to like clarify for that. And
you can certainly email me. Email me directly. When you email me, make sure to include your name and your L number.
Okay.
And let me know, hey, I attended this session. I just want to know what my status is. Like, what have I completed, or what am I missing?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure that like all the college credit classes that I took at Springfield actually like were, registered on there and stuff.
Sure. Yeah. Just email me if that is the case for any of you. Jessica did ask me for a list, but it's a little bit complicated to get that on a report. So if there's any of you that individually that you're like, I think I completed this, but I'm not really sure, just email me directly and I'll be happy to provide that information. Just make sure to include your name and your L number.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There was a question in the chat. It's, can you do prerequisites and an apprenticeship program at the same time?
This is an excellent question. So if you are interested, if I understand this correctly, if you're interested in doing an apprenticeship, but at the same time, you want to do a transfer degree to earn a bachelor's, generally speaking, we won't recommend that you do two programs because those are two different paths. And what will end up happening is you're going to run out of financial aid. So there is a cutoff in terms of financial aid eligibility. So if you're trying to do both a bachelor's degree, but at the same time you're working on the apprenticeship stuff, which will take you about 2 years, at some point when you're ready to transfer, financial aid is going to be like, sorry, you've used most of your financial aid. You will no longer have eligibility to complete that bachelor's degree. So in short, what I recommend is you do one or the other. Unless you're paying out of pocket, if you're paying out of pocket, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're relying on financial aid, they do have a cutoff, and that's not something that we have control over. That is a Department of Education policy.
And we do have Amy Burpee from LCC next week talking about apprenticeships. So if there are those of you that are interested in learning more about the apprenticeship programs that they offer at LCC, that would be a good time to join. And an email will come out next week for you guys with that link. Any other questions?
I do like somebody that has a on their photo, subscribe to PewDiePie. That's great. Are you like a fan? Are you like, do you get like paid to promote him?
Oh no, I put that up there like a few years ago and then I just never changed it.
It's funny. I appreciate that.
Well, this has been great, and thank you, Rosa Maria, for doing this. You know, we continue to get better at our virtual events. I remember we did this last year for our seniors. You did amazing, but I was trying to figure out technology. I appreciate you taking the time out, you guys. Thank you guys for taking time out of your Wednesday when you don't have school to show up for this. Really shows how dedicated you are to your future. If you guys have follow-up questions, Rosa Maria, you know, has shared her contact information with you. There is a link in the chat, but you can also reach out to Relina at Springfield or at Thurston myself, and we're happy to help direct you to the right person, who's Rosa Maria most of the time. But they are wonderful over there. I mean, I know that you have a lot of support here in your high school, but one of my sons is a student at LCC, and he's doing great and has found a lot of support in financial aid and advising and stuff like that. So I'm excited for all of you guys, and feel free to reach out if you have questions. Again, this is recorded, so I will get it up on the YouTube page if you want to go back and re-listen to anything. It will be there for you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
Have a good day.